From the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. Follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thanks for tuning in however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social pages that we're on these days, including facebook.com/Talk El Paso, Twitter at Talk El Paso, Twitch, Andrew J. Polk, and the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube. Frankly, either of those names, the show name or my name, in any of those places, you'll be able to find us because multi-platform is the way to go here. But don't forget, we don't forget anyway, about you on-air people as well, because backbone of the show, just want to have the most opportunities for people to interact here. So we are out of the studio here today and for this week, but still wanted to bring you some new conversations, some new topics. Well, maybe revisiting some old topics, but new shows here for you. So that's what we put together for all of this week, or at least most of it, or at least new perspectives on things that we have covered or previous editions. So that's what we're doing this week. So no calls today. You're free to comment over on the social pages, as you always are. Just buyer beware, depending on the platform you're dealing with. But we want to still have more features brought up here. So one of the topics, besides the very important daily ones that we deal with here of the news that affect us here in the Borderland, one of the topics that I always love going back and focusing on is that of local businesses, particularly small business. But I mean, businesses in general is, the lifeblood of our community to a very large extent, because during the whole pandemic situation, all the impacts that happened to businesses of all sizes, but particularly the small ones, weighed very heavily on my mind anyway. So that's why I'm very excited that we got the chance to sit down and talk with both some partners that you may recognize if you've listened to our air before, and others that have now become partners with them as well in trying to do some new ventures, new stuff here in town, which is exciting in its own right here. So coming up in the next segment, we're going to be talking with Klevr Tea, which you may have heard of, also eesGO, an app that is, well, I'll let them describe it, as well as the El Paso freeze-dried food company. Some more explaining than not there in just the names here, but again, going to take a break right now as we are again in a pre-recorded episode, but still a new one here for you while we're out of the studio to talk more about these important aspects and some new stuff coming here to town. So stay tuned for more Talk El Paso after this quick break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Again, free to leave your comments over on our socials, but we'll be back in the studio with you next week. But in the meantime, enjoy this episode. Back in a minute with more.
From the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. Follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Welcome back here to Talk El Paso, airing on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thanks for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the social pages, including facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the YouTube channel Talk El Paso, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or Twitch, which is Andrew J. Polk. Either of those names, any of those places, Talk El Paso or Andrew J. Polk, that being the show or me, respectively. You can find us and chime in during the show. Out of the office here for this program, but still bringing you new programming, including interviews with some local businesses that we've both been involved with. Somewhat, you may have heard about it on our air, but that a collaboration going on between them is interesting, and also just the story of how they have made it through all the circumstances that have happened over these past couple of years and going forward. Reason we had them in here today. So joining me here in studio right now, we have Marco Vallejo, creator of Klevr Tea. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
We're also joined by Leo Romero, creator of growth strategist with eesGO.
Yeah, how's it going, guys?
And by Joshua Mena, social entrepreneur and founder of El Paso Freeze-Dried Food Company.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you all for coming in here. You all may have heard of Klevr Tea on our air before. Got the bottle of it right here, as another one he brought me fresh for this interview here. But at the same time, the story of the business, one of the reasons we eventually ended up going into the partnership with them, and now also working with some other businesses here. So we have represented here, we have a local tea company. Then over to the far right on the screen here, we are looking at a freeze-dried candy company, which they have some of their offerings right here. They're Chamoy, specifically freeze-dried Skittles. And then eesGO is an interesting kind of combination of the purposes here. Not necessarily the products, but the purposes here. For people who may not be familiar, what is eesGO?
eesGO pretty much is kind of like the future of ride-sharing services, and also an enabler of the gig economy.
Okay.
So it's it's going to be big locally, and we're trying to get connected with a lot of local shops in support of local businesses. To get a lot of young talent up and running on the streets, just really delivering a lot of the local products and services.
We have talked on this air a decent amount in the past about different circumstances, factors coming out of the pandemic, and one of the ones that we've talked about previously is the fact that some local companies have made decisions not to be involved with some of the delivery apps that are out there now, even ones that were very traditionally into delivery, making decisions because of the impacts on them. Having talked with you previously, that's a little bit of why you ended up getting into this, and how y'all ended up involved with this idea is getting the products out there in a different way, because these might not be, the products that you all make, Klevr Tea and El Paso Freeze-Dried Food Company, might not be the traditional kind of delivery app service that people would expect to get on that, and that's something that, how y'all ended up collaborating, right?
Right. Yeah, so the reason I really liked Leo and Gama is the founder of eesGO, was that since we're all small companies, I feel like we could, because we're going to mess up, for sure. I mean, you have to make mistakes in order for you to succeed. So if we were to go the DoorDash route, the Postmates route, Uber Eats route, I feel would have been like a supplier or just another person on their platform, nobody, so they wouldn't work with me. And talking with Leo, him and Gama thought something similar. If they go to Pizza Hut or they go to Walmart, they would be just another person or another delivery app to them. But since we're both small, relatively small compared to everybody else, I feel like we can grow together and expand to other cities as we keep growing, because we're both willing to make mistakes. Like if a delivery doesn't get there, I'm more than willing to give great customer service and be like, you know what, I'm so sorry, the order is free. Or I'm willing to be the face of the platform while we keep working out the kinks until it eventually becomes, a pristine company. And there's still going to be mistakes, but it's going to be a well-oiled machine by then. But by that point, we both, or all three of us, should be, when that happens.
And then you two, of course, here, Klevr Tea and El Paso Freeze-Dried Food Company, you all been doing some work together, co-locating now as of the time we're recording this at this point, right?
Yes. So that's what makes it so fun and different, is that we're both sharing a workspace. We're both working out of the same location, and we're just trying to break the traditional ways of doing business. So there's no reason why two local companies can't work out of the same location. And since we both are in the snack and beverage food industry, we want to deliver our products to people. And so if we can partner up with another local company that can provide that delivery, it's a no-brainer.
I say a lot that I like supporting local as much as possible. It's impossible to avoid national stuff unless you're full-time on it, so I make my slip-ups. But the idea of it being, a locally founded delivery app is very interesting. But for people who may not be familiar with each of you, give us, the pitch about what you're all, starting with you, Marco, with Klevr Tea.
So Klevr Tea, I was actually working in Midland, in the oil fields with a manly man of Odessa. I wasn't in the oil fields. I was in an office, actually, but I was still dealing with them, and I liked it a lot. It was a lot of work. It was good money, but it was the oil fields. So when oil dropped to negative 37 a barrel, it was like Hunger Games. Like they were just firing people left and right. Management went, drivers left, and they just piled more and more work on the ones that did stay. But then we got at home, and it was just weird. And then I was already working on something on this, but once that happened, I accelerated the Klevr thing because I didn't like the environment anymore. Because it's nice when there's money in the company because everybody's making hours, bonuses. But once it's a bad time, you see everyone's true colors. You see how they actually are, their jealousy, all that stuff. So it was good. It was a blessing that it happened because it motivated me to accelerate the process and actually make this tea company. And the reason I made it was I went to the store looking for some mental stimulation that wasn't alcohol. I couldn't find anyone that was all natural and was good for you. So I decided to make my own. And I mean, the worst case scenario would have been I would have been left with a bunch of tea I liked. Right? Like pallets and pallets of it. But fortunately, El Paso has been phenomenal. It's funny when people will buy it. I mean, they might even like the tea or they don't like tea. Just the fact that it's local. They're like, bro, I get it. I like it. Yeah, I'll take one. Just to show some love, to some support. And although those are far in between, it still feels good,
Oh yeah.
that you still get support because most people do buy it because they like it or they find some value in the product. But yeah, it's been a great ride. Working with Josh, it's cool. Although we do have different businesses, we're a good contrast. Because he's like he tries to think things through. He's more of a science guy, more of a talker. So whenever we're at the space, like we'll throw ideas at each other. Although our businesses don't really relate, we still the principles are very similar.
There's some synergies there
Right.
that are, different products, but there's some very much combined purposes for y'all. And then, it's always the thing that I think is the worst part of the whole remote working economy we've ended up in to a certain extent is that collaboration aspect that, hey, I had an idea. That just the things that you can't do when you're not there with someone are significantly more than are estimated, I think there. That's a little bit of my personal thing in there. So you came up with, again, this, your Oolong Wise blend and producing it now in that new facility. And having been there, you got your production side of it, but then also there are these half dozen machines that are running there, just kind of 24/7. That is how you make your product there. Josh Mena speaking here with El Paso Freeze Dried Food Company on doing the freeze drying. And so how did you come about that and deciding to get into that?
So I got into the freeze drying business. I got into the freeze drying business specifically because I studied nutrition in college. So I already have a passion for food science, technology, all that kind of stuff. And before I was doing this, I was a Peace Corps volunteer doing humanitarian nutrition projects in Ethiopia. And that experience really led me to want to become an entrepreneur, to uplift myself and empower other individuals to pursue businesses, ventures, all that kind of stuff, because the opportunity is there. And so I went there. I was in Ethiopia working on nutrition projects, and I came back motivated to start something. And I wanted to start something new, science-based, something that's like just unique. And freeze drying is that. It's never been done before in El Paso. It's sciencey. It's delicious. And so I saw the opportunity and decided, why not? Let's try it out. Let's see what happens. And
Didn't you use a credit card to buy your first machine?
I did. I started with one machine, like a smaller version of what I have now, and I just took out a 0-interest credit card and just decided, hey, let's try it out.
Leveraging debt, I think, is the nice way to put that. Leveraging debt to start a business.
That's exactly what I did.
Okay, so that was how you do it, and now you have, again, a half dozen of them there, and so that all kind of then naturally, because I met most of y'all through the Thrive 915 business mixers here, and that's how we started working with some of y'all, and then y'all met through other mixers here in town and kind of came to this, again, synergy, I think is the way. It might be a businessy buzzword, but it actively applies here, of, these purposes. Y'all do very different things, but the combination of them all can be greater than the sum of the parts there, particularly as it works out. So, I mean, we talked a little bit about it, but really from your perspective, how did this whole, the idea of a local and different type of delivery app come about?
Yeah, and I have to definitely mention, I think you did mention it, Gama Mendes, pretty much the founder and creator of eesGO. He was the one that had the idea, and the secret sauce and the application and I mean, we can definitely claim that is going to be a true local competitor to Uber, to DoorDash, a lot of these other delivery apps and services. But the gist of it is we want to be a competitor to them, but also an enabler of the gig economy. And what that means is just anything that you need to get delivered. And these could be fulfillment centers. It could be, big shopping centers, retailers, but also local shops and retailers, right? What we want to do is give the person who's requesting the delivery, give them more agency for the pricing system. That's on one end. And then on the other end is giving the driver the ability to bid on it as well, which is a little bit of a twist on the idea that could play very well for both parties and for us as well. The main thing is, can we make all parties happy? Drivers are not very happy with some of the delivery apps and systems that are in place right now. They marginalize, a lot of things, and a lot of times they get the a very low cut. So what we're trying to do is make everyone a little bit more happy on all parties. Do a little bit of cost takeout for big retailers and a lot of people that are delivering things across the town. But just make, again, young talent happy with the bid that they're put in place. So a quick example could be something like if we want something delivered all the way to the east side, depending on the urgency and the importance and how fragile whatever you're delivering is, you might be willing to pay $100 just to get it delivered across town. And the driver that's going to pick that up is going to be more than happy, right? To take 80% of the cut in that. The nice thing about that, though, is let's say there's 10 drivers around the area who are like, I can do that drop and I'm willing to do it for $60. Now the requester is super happy because he was already willing to pay $100, and the driver's already saying that they're willing to do it for $60.
So it's kind of there's a lot of stuff good to go in there, but it's kind of in between because apps that are usually doing the delivery ones, a little bit of like some of them doing like we'll pick up, stuff from a convenience store or something like that. But there was this kind of divide between small pickup kind of things and then like deliveries from, like you were saying, retail stores. Like you're either having it, from your fast food joint or restaurant of choice, or it's being shipped to you by the big box store or et cetera, like, Amazon. It's going to be shipped directly to you. So it's kind of bridging the gap in between those both concepts with the availability you're talking about.
That's exactly right.
So that's some of the interesting things going on here. We're due for a break here right now, but coming back from the break, continue our conversation with our three local small business creators here about how they have navigated all this, getting this all started up, because most, if not all of you, have started this or significantly expanded it in the midst of the pandemic and the economy that's resulted of it, right?
That's right.
So that on its own is something we'll get into here. We got to take that break right now. We'll be back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Comments on the social media. No calls as we're out of the office here today, but still bringing you here new show. So stay tuned for more after this break.
From the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. Follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Welcome back here to Talk El Paso, airing on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, on all of the social pages or, of course, on air. Don't want to forget our on-air audience. We are out of the office here still today, but bringing you new programming, interviewing, and talking with... We talk a lot about the local economy, local businesses, small businesses exactly, and the toll that has been taken on them over these past couple of years here at this point, but talking with a few that we have either partnered with or will be working with here in terms of how they have started up, what they're doing, and how they're navigating all of this here. So reintroducing here, if you're watching on social media, we have from my left to right here, we have Marco Vallejo, creator of Klevr Tea, Leo Romero, a creative growth strategist with eesGO, and Joshua Mena, social entrepreneur and founder of El Paso Freeze-Dried Food Company. Thank you all very much for coming in here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Andrew.
Absolutely, because besides y'all's businesses, which are interesting and unique in their own ways, how y'all navigated this? I mean, there have been some estimates that I've seen that the actual, like, just in terms of like tax rolls, the amount of small businesses we lost on some order of 1,000 to 3,000 over this past couple of years. That it was that serious of an impact when it comes to just literally the businesses that are still incorporated with our area. Estimates vary, but that's what I've been hearing and what has been going into my consideration of how the heck are we going to move through this. And as we said before the break, all of y'all either founded or significantly expanded y'all's enterprises here during this. So starting with you, Marco, you talked a little bit about, your decision to, found the company, how you got to it, but literally in the midst of this, as we've been coming out of it a little bit earlier this year, y'all made the decision along with Josh there to actually get a facility, move past the production that you were currently doing and expand it significantly. For a lot of people, that would sound mildly insane given the past year and everything that happened to it. How did you go about making that decision and how has it worked out?
Well, I think entrepreneurs are a little crazy. Just
okay,
as like a given. But so, although economy it did contract, it doesn't mean it stops.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, people still drink, people still eat, people still do stuff. I mean, they're still wanting it. It's just less of it. So I think the companies that do stay, they're sharper, they're leaner, they're better. And it's kind of like that whole survival of the fittest. I mean, it sucks. It really does that. A lot of companies did shut down and families lost money and all that stuff. But then it gives you opportunity for other people to get a chance and, shoot their shot, see what happens. So I do like the support that I've been granted here in El Paso. And also another thing is, if you do have a good product or a great product and customers see it and then they they talk to you, they try it and they see that it is, then they'll buy it, because dollars are like votes. That's how Amazon got to where it was. That's how Tesla got to where it was.
Yeah, people
voted for them with their money. So Josh, Leo, and I got votes from the people because they liked our products. Because although I did mention before that people buy my product. I don't know about Josh, because it's local, but most people don't buy it. It's a good product that just happens to be local.
So local is kind of an entry into it, and again, I'm all about supporting it. You gotta make sure you have what you love in your community. You got to support it when it shows up, because I mean, I can't remember the amount of times, particularly when it comes to restaurants, but other enterprises as well, that I'm like, oh man, that place was so great. I can't believe it's gone. Oh wait, I haven't been there in years or ever. Right. I'm part of the problem. Like that's a thing that happens locally.
Right.
And so, I mean, it's a mentality that I think we need to change, because too often it's not good unless it came out of town. At least when I was growing up, that was the mentality. Nothing good comes out of El Paso. Only things out of town that come here are good, and that just frustrated the hell out of me. So getting past that, I think, is a significant point for El Paso and the region as a whole. But also, I mean, people, taking an interest and paying attention to it, being preparing for this today, saw someone from these groups that we've all met at, and doing the interactions and the mixers, saw someone saying, oh, I saw lines around the block for all these chains, and yet all these local restaurants seemingly having no one in the parking lot. So, I mean, there's still something to be done there, but the fact that people even consider that, I find positive about, being local and supporting local.
Right. So if I get the opportunity to buy local, I will, but there's only so much you can sacrifice on quality.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So, like when we were doing Bold Burger, like that place is good. Like I told him, dude, I'll support you as long as you keep making your burgers great.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not supporting you just because you're local. I'm supporting you because you're a great restaurant.
I'll try it because it's local.
Yeah.
But then to keep going there, you got to give me a reason to.
And then I told him, dude, give me a shirt. I'll be here like 8 times, because his stuff is really good.
Yeah.
Like super good. Like he's not paying me. His stuff is just good. Okay.
Yeah, we've had it on the show here before, and the commitment level there. I mean, he's got the logo tattooed on the back of his hand. He is all in about it. So the commitment there is very real. But then, Josh, I'm sure you've had a kind of similar experience, but yours is almost up to another degree because, I mean, the tea is great in how you produce it. You've got a system that you have to support going into it, Marco. But Josh, just having been in the facility, you have some serious, just essentially infrastructure investments that you did to do this, and you expanded on that greatly during it. I mean, did you have a similar kind of thought process to what Marco did, or how did you go about it?
Similar, yes, in the way that entrepreneurs are risk takers, and that I would definitely define myself as a risk taker. I took the leap of faith right in January of 2020. So before things got really bad, I saw the data, I saw the traction. So I started maybe like 3 months earlier, and I saw that it was doing well, and decided like, hey, let's go for it. Well, I got a bigger investment, and I went full forward. And for me, I couldn't go back. Like I had to continue to go forward. Like I just could not quit. I had to go forward. So it was difficult because a lot of what I was relying on, local markets to sell product, they were shut down. So it was pretty difficult, but I mean, I just had to find ways to continue to move forward. And it was pretty difficult, but I found balance with friends and staying active because it was pretty mentally draining, the situation and what was going on. So I just had to kind of balance work with staying active and you know, releasing stress in a positive way because it was negative at times. So yeah, I took the leap of faith in probably the worst time, but it kind of helped me continue to go forward. And by making it through the other side, it motivated me even more to continue. So it was pretty crazy, but
I'm sure in retrospect it's like, well, we made it through fine, but at the time it was subtitle just constant screaming, essentially.
Pretty much.
I mean, a phrase that I think about a lot there, I believe is from Winston Churchill, that if you're going through hell, keep going. As in, don't stop, because then you're just stuck in hell at that point. So that was kind of your situation there in the midst of it, and so you managed to make it through. And then you all did find some success then with, I mean, we've talked for you on air, Marco, about the farmers markets, being out there, being direct with people. I mean, people finding it online. I mean, being out there, exposure is important in any way. But then when the markets did restart, getting out there and being able to have that kind of conversation with people, and I'm sure for you as well, Josh, was important as hell, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's at least my, it's my feedback loop. That's how I know that what they need. So this one, this flavor, I made it on a whim. Like I thought it was good. It is good.
And
then the other two, it was just the feedback I was getting from people. Oh, why don't you have one for sleep? Oh, why don't you have one for more energy? So I got so much of that. And then actually those customers gave me some of the ingredients I use in the products. So it's like you have no idea how much customers are involved in the process of me making these products. I know I'm the creator, but I'm more like the co-creator because they are helping me through the process. Like I'll do the work, but
taking all this input, synergizing it, and getting it together into, because you've got the main one here that we've talked about, the Oolong Wise, but you've got those others coming out as well, right?
Yeah. So Kava Slumber, that one will be out. It gets here Wednesday. So that one, the way I built it was for relaxation. There's only one other tea that has that ingredient, but mine has 4 times the amount of the active root. So this one, we drink alcohol to socialize. But in the island of Tonga, Micronesia, Indonesia, they drink kava. Kava is this root, and what they do is they cut it up, they make a pulp out of it, they put water, and then they strain it, and they get this mud-looking and mud-tasting liquid.
Yeah, I've seen it before, yeah.
10 cups of this stuff will immobilize you. So I'm not going to do that to people. I mean, unless you really want to. But I'm going to taper it down, make it taste good. And that's what I did. So you get that calming effect, but it's still pleasing to drink.
Yeah, it's not the same kind of experience there. And I don't want to feel like we've been neglecting you here, Leo, because we've been kind of getting to it. So y'all, I mean, Gama, as the founder, we talked about first segment here, but I mean, you deciding to come on board here. What was y'all's kind of timeline in reference to the pandemic and all the restrictions that came from it and the decisions that you all have made to get to this point?
Well, that's the first of all, one thing that I wanted to repeat that I loved from Marco. He said, our customers are co-creators, and they get this special and unique opportunity to be co-creators of your product, which should empower them to keep supporting you. But that's also pretty much, I know it's a buzzword, but we co-create, and that's exactly what we're doing here too. The partnership was founded pretty much in a special co-working place. It's called SCT Foundation. They have a sandbox, a venture where we actually met each other. So that's where a lot of these ideas started brewing, and a lot of collaboration, and also just the opportunity to fail fast and move forward. Being able to try some things out, being receptive to some ideas, and you mentioned this at the very beginning. We're most definitely going to fail in some way or another, but we're gonna learn from it.
You can't be afraid of failure, otherwise that'll just paralyze you, and you have to make mistakes to figure out how things work sometimes. If you get it perfect from the right off, I mean, great, but you don't know what you don't know, and you might eventually fall into those pitfalls anyway, frankly.
That's exactly right. And we can have like so many shows to talk about, like maybe the future of workforce and, digital transformations and how some, jobs are augmentable, some jobs are automatable. And, a lot of the people that are getting displaced because of that had to find a way to make it work. And the special thing that I saw here in El Paso was just the immense support and love for all things local. And I saw this in FitFam. I don't know if you guys were checking that out during the pandemic, but they were supporting a lot of local shops.
They were actually, yeah.
And a lot of people were reposting that. And I feel like that actually fueled a lot of the support for local businesses and, a big part of why they survived. But it doesn't come until this catalyst comes, right, where you're actually forced to take the leap. You're forced to try things out. And you're forced to collaborate with people, and El Paso just shows a lot of that love to make it possible. Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's get to as we're coming up on the end of our time here, rubber hits the road moment. If people want to find out more or what's coming next for you, starting with you, Marco, we've got KlevrTea.com. Obviously, we talked a decent amount about it on that air, but you mentioned you got those 2 new blends coming out. And for what's next for you as you kind of look at as we come out of the pandemic and all the stuff that you've had to deal with now, is looking to hopefully a brighter situation anyway. Besides those blends, what are y'all expecting to work on or do or be able to do next?
So I'm working on that and then make different iterations of the tea. I want to make it like an instant tea, but whole.
Oh, okay.
So you can take it anywhere. And I'm working on another side project with a friend. It's like a Delta seltzer.
Okay.
And that one is going to be, so seltzers right now, if you turn the bottle, it says carbonated water and then natural flavors or artificial flavors. What that means is, so an apple has molecules, right? Some molecules do the taste, others do the nutrition, others do the color. Natural flavors mean they just got the molecule that does the flavor. And if it's a mango, doesn't mean it's mango. It just means they got an apple in a tree and they just put those molecules together and they happen to taste like a mango. So what we want to do is something kind of like on the teas, all natural stuff that has caffeinated, has vitamins, but will still give you that buzz that people are searching for. And that's another project for probably next year. But for now, Kava Slumber, Yerba Zest, and Oolong Wise. And you can find us at 230 North Copia. I'll give you samples of anything you like. You can't really miss it. We made a mural, so you can't miss it. It's like a mountain, and it's the only one there. So that's the story.
We got to have a video up on our page of like a tour of it as well to show you all. But then, okay, so Leo with eesGO, if people want to use this, is this live now? How can they use it?
This is already live, and again, you can just like pop the app on the Apple Store or on Google Play, both to sign up as a driver or to start requesting some orders to be delivered. If you're a local shop, you can go ahead and use it as a delivery system. But again, it could be for any random thing, anything that you need. You can start, you will definitely hear eesGO in a lot of places, mostly supporting local businesses. And our first trial here is going to be with Marco and Josh, making sure that we refine the system, the platform, and that we find all the kinks that need to be ironed out.
And again, eesGO, ESSGO.
That's right.
Does that mean anything? Just like let's go?
Essential
Let's
goods.
go eesGO.
There you go.
Isn't it essential goods?
don't know about that.
Maybe working in there, and then of course, Josh, you again, your operation, you've got it running fine now. So coming forward, what do you expect? What if people are interested and want to find out more? What can they expect from y'all?
So they can expect so we're still going to be doing the freeze dried operation, making some delicious local snacks. But really, what I really want to focus on and transition into is to get back into humanitarian projects. So my next thing that I want to do is to use my experience and what I've learned so far and propel myself as a food science consultant. And I want to go back out into developing countries in parts of the world and help establish new food ventures based on food science and technology. So my first project is to go back to Ethiopia and capitalize on the relationships that I formed with tons of people, lawyers, farmers, mostly farmers, and help establish new food ventures and commercialize this new food product that's in Ethiopia that's just non-existent yet in the global economy. And really, it's to help bring marginalized groups into the global economy because the opportunity is there. It's just it's not established yet. So really, I want to use my experience and my love for science to do these off-the-wall kinds of projects in everywhere. Like I want to go to India and South America, Europe, America, like everywhere. So that's what I want to do.
So if people want to find out the stuff you're doing right now anyway, where can they do so? Same location as Klevr Tea, right?
Yes. So we're going to be, 230 North Copia. We have, you can find us on Instagram at EP Freeze Dried. You can find us on our website at epfreezedried.com. We, like I said, we still want to continue to make local fun snacks, space snacks. So come out and try some our products. You can always come down to our store. We have free samples and even take a little tour too.
Absolutely there. So last thing we're going to leave you all with here is that, given all the work that you all have done and, looking forward, what is your opinion on how things are going to progress here in El Paso over the next, 6 months to a year when it comes to the local economy and the work that you all do? We'll go back down the line here with you, Josh.
I'm pretty excited for the future of El Paso. There's a lot of new, interesting developments going on, whether it's the medical school, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's just business overall. There's a lot of exciting new things, and we have the new space innovation going on here. So there's a lot of awesome things going on, and I'm excited. Even if I move away and go work on projects somewhere else, I know that my family's here, so I'm pretty excited to see what's going to happen, and so I'm pretty excited. Yeah.
All right. And Leo?
I think just anyone needs to get comfortable, be uncomfortable, and just, be happy to collaborate with other people. El Paso is definitely going to show that love. There's a lot of co-working spaces where you can take advantage of those interactions. There's a lot of what we call cross-pollination of ideas in these spaces again, and that's where the magic happens. So if you're an entrepreneur or a local business, go out there, try things out, but also just rely on us and rely on anyone, friends and family or other people that are trying to innovate in the local economy to give you ideas and help you refine your business.
Absolutely. And finally, Marco?
Yeah, so I actually did not like El Paso a few years ago, but I figured out after going to 315, the networking events, being at Sandbox, it wasn't that I didn't like El Paso. I didn't like the people I was surrounding myself with. So now being with Josh, being with Leo, Gama, being with Andrew, I feel happy, I feel hopeful. Like El Paso does have a lot of talent and you have people that want to make it better. And it's great that we're here because we're not just talking about it and complaining. We're actually trying to, make El Paso great again. Yeah,
that's one way to put it. Sure. Well, thank you all very much again. Going down the line here, we've been talking with Marco Vallejo, creator of Klevr Tea, Leo Romero, creative growth strategist with eesGO, and Joshua Mena, social entrepreneur and founder of El Paso Freeze Dried Food Company. Thank you all very much for having this extended conversation with us about what you all do, how you all have navigated, what has gone on these couple of years, and what comes next for you all and your expectations. So thank you all very much for coming in today to talk about that.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
So we got to end up taking that last break here. So back with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM after the break.
From the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. Follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing on News Radio 690 KTSM. Still out of the studio here today, as we are for the rest of this week, but really like to have these conversations that we have brought up and these topics. Again, just talking about small business, the impacts of it, as we heard from our guests there with Klevr Tea, eesGO, and the El Paso Freeze-Dried Food Company. All different stories, but the way they come together and trying to do work, and frankly, in the sum total of it, trying to make maybe things a bit better here in El Paso. That's really what it's about, and why I love talking about it so much. So thank you if you were tuned in this whole time, because, I mean, out of the office, and the calls I know are very important. Don't worry, we'll be getting back to it, along with some more announcements once we get back into the studio here next week. I'm going to keep teasing that this whole week, but stay tuned, because we're here to do the live local talk radio thing. And not live this time, but local is always our focus. So thank everyone to tune in, chime in, participate in this and our previous shows here. Got a lot more that we're going to try to focus on here for the remainder of this week as well, including some topics about giving back and the holiday spirit in general, something y'all have definitely been asking for us to focus on, as well as some important thoughts, some themes that have run through even just the course of the last year, but frankly through the course of this whole show, that I want to re-highlight here. That's what we'll be doing a little bit later in the week as well as just some other perspectives, some different perspectives on issues that we've discussed a little bit on, including things like climate change, more specifically, what a solution coming from the right side of the aisle could be like. So that's some of the stuff we're working on here for you this week, and that we'll have in the various places that we do this show, including, of course, on air, online, live streaming, and on our social pages. So again, everyone who did tune in, comment, not call in today, but just participate in general. You are what makes this show what it is. So I hope you've enjoyed this one while we're out of the studio. Again, we'll be back live, but have to take some time off here, and then we'll be having shows except for the immediate holidays through the end of the year. So, signing off from the News Radio 690 KTSM studio, I've been your host, Andrew J. Polk. Stay safe out there, look twice for motorcycles when out on the road, and as always, have a great evening, y'all. Talk to you with more new programming tomorrow.